Hi guys, welcome back to Skinnybru Rugby. This is the preview for round 9 of Super Rugby. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you like my content. If you want to watch the fantasy video for this round, I'll link it up here. And be sure to go to the channel if you want to watch the dream team and the best performances of last week. Sharp, let's get into it. Okay, the first game sees the Crusaders versus the Highlanders. The previous game was called off, so this is the first time we see them playing this season. Both teams picked a really strong side, except for the Highlanders, who are missing Aaron Smith and Naholo. The Highlanders did pick Ioane at number 10. I would have liked to see Marty Banks over there. To me, he's a very good number 10, and I like seeing him get into big tackles. Yeah, the Highlanders have only beaten the Crusaders away from home or in Christchurch once in the last 10 games, so this is going to be a very difficult one for them. And the Highlanders have only won 2 games in this whole season. Then for the Crusaders, they've only lost 1 game this whole season. Mahunga, he's been in great form on the field, and his goal kicking is also looking like it's improving. And then one of the finds for the season, Sevu Reese on the wing for the Crusaders, he's just a try scoring machine. So for me, the Crusaders have the upper hand in this one. I think the Crusaders will beat the Highlanders by 12. The next game we'll see the Rebels versus the Stormers. So the Stormers have been on a losing streak over in Australasia. This is their 4th game on tour. Can they actually win something overseas? I don't think so. Then the Rebels, they've looked very dangerous on attack. Where the Stormers, they've just looked useless on attack. They can't get the ball forward when they try and run, so then they just end up kicking the ball away. The last couple of weeks also for the Stormers, their defense has been poor, where they built earlier in the season, they built their game on defense, but now their defense is a bit more poor. Kulisi has been rested for this game. The Tuai is still in South Africa for the birth of his child, which was last week. And Eben Etzebeth is injured. So yeah, then they called up on Kitshoff to take over the captaincy now. So we'll see how that goes. The Rebels, Ginia and Cooper are still looking great. I'm just worried about Cooper playing every game 80 minutes. Who is his sub even? Who's gonna come on for him if he gets injured or something happens to him? For the Rebels, they've won 5 out of 7 this year, only losing 2 games over in South Africa. In history, the Stormers usually beat the Rebels, but this Rebels side is completely different. So yeah, with that backline of theirs, that's completely dangerous. Every single player can score tries. I think the Rebels have the upper hand and they'll beat the Stormers by 15. Okay, the third game of the week I think is going to be the game of the weekend, the Chiefs versus the Blues. The Blues are coming off a 4-match winning streak. Black for the Blues are looking good. His kicking at goal is getting a little bit better. Nonu had an excellent game last week and he's back in the starting lineup again. Like I said, he just needs more time on the field and then he'll improve. One of the main reasons they've been performing well is their good discipline on the field. And it's not just the Ioane brothers in that team that's shining anymore. Other guys are also putting up their hands. Guys like Robinson, who's playing on the flanker, even though he is actually a lock, he's playing great. They're talking about him at All Black, getting an All Black role. But yeah, the Blues, they haven't had any away wins this season. Where the Chiefs, they haven't had any home wins this season. So who's going to win this home derby at the Chiefs? It's a difficult one to call. I don't know what to make of the Chiefs team. They drew 1 and then they won 2 in their last 3 games. So yeah, but before that they lost a lot of games. So it looks like they're coming a bit back and playing a bit better. But their whole game depends upon 2 players, Damian McKenzie and Retallick. If they don't pitch up, the team doesn't pitch up. So it's a very difficult one for me to call. My heart says the Blues. I would love the Blues to perform better and actually beat the bigger or the better sides in New Zealand, but I think the Chiefs will get this one by 3. Then there's the Brumbies versus the Lions. The Brumbies have only won 2 out of 7 games this season, where the Lions have won 4 out of 7. Yeah, the Brumbies have only won 2 out of 3 at home in 2019, so there is the potential for them to lose this one as well. Overall, the Lions, they're looking good, but last week they didn't pitch up at all, so I'm thinking they'll have a bit of a fight back this week. They really need a good tour if they want to secure a spot at the top for the South African Conference. The big names have to pitch up this week. Marks and Yankees, they'll need to step up if the Lions want to win that game. The Brumbies, they might see it as an opportunity to get the Lions while they're not at their best. This might have been a game that they saw in the start of the season they might lose, but now they might look at the odds and think they might be able to get this one. Yeah, but the Brumbies, their first game at home they lost. That was in the first round, and further they've won at home in those 3 games, if you can make anything of that. But to me, I think the Lions are going to have a bounce back. I think that it's going to be a away victory for the Lions by 10. Then we go over to Durban for the Sharks versus the Jaguares. Both teams are on a high. The Sharks, after beating the Lions so comprehensively, and then the Jaguares beating the Bulls in that last few minutes, both of them will be on a high from that. The Sharks haven't been good at home this season. They've only won 2 out of 4. Yeah, and the Jaguares have only won 1 out of 3 away games this season, that one being last week. The Sharks, they've only had 1 victory over a conference rival, also last week. Further, they haven't been able to beat any other South African team or the Jaguares, so yeah, it's going to be a difficult one. Yeah, and then the Jaguares, they've only beaten the Bulls in the conference. They've beaten them twice, but they haven't beaten any other conference competitors, so it's a difficult one to call as well. The Sharks, they've had an up and down season. Sometimes they look amazing on attack and they look like one of the best teams you'll find in Super Rugby, and then other times they just look like they can't get the ball moving, can't get the gap anyway. So it's gonna be a tough one for them. If they pitch up the day, I think it's an easy victory for them. The Jaguares' discipline, as always, is costing them. They get yellow cards every single game, and I can promise you in this game they'll get a yellow card again, and that always costs them tries that they give away for free. Yeah, the Sharks, they really need to extend their lead in the conference, so they'll be looking to secure a victory over here. If Robert de Preer does pitch up and he performs well and his goal kicking is what it should be, the Sharks will have a victory. I think the Sharks has a victory of 7 for this week. The last game for the week is the Bulls versus the Reds. The Bulls have won 4 out of 7 this year and the Reds 3 out of 7. The Bulls have only won 2 out of 4 at home in 2019, and the Reds are in their first game on tour in South Africa. And they played last week, so they didn't even have a bye week. But the Bulls, they will be hurting after that game against the Jaguares that they lost in the last few minutes. So they'll really want to bounce back. Big names like Pollard, Kriel, RG Snyman and Van Staden are back, and that's what they need for this game. But both teams really need a victory here. The Reds to stay competitive in their conference, and the Bulls also to be competitive in the South African conference, where every team is very closely ranked. Except for one game, the Reds haven't lost by far. They've always looked in it. They haven't given up. They look like a team that has the potential to win any game. Karevi is a very important player in that team. He leads them, and if he has a good game, they play a lot better. But the Reds haven't beaten the Bulls away in Loftus in 10 years, so that history is very strong there. If Hegarty pitches up, will he still be good enough for Pollard? I don't think so. I don't think Hegarty is the best number 10. You'll see it in weekly videos that I talk about him. He's a very good number 15 to me, but at number 10 he's not the best. So this one, I think the Bulls are going to bounce back strongly, and they're going to play very attacking rugby. I think the Bulls will win this one by 19. Okay, that's a match preview for the week, guys. If you want to watch the fantasy rugby video, it will be somewhere on this side. Please subscribe if you haven't. Join the Superbru pool, and yeah, then I'll see you next week for the review video. Cheers.